The Carolina Hurricanes just shocked the NHL by trading for Colorado Avalanche's superstar Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall in a 3-team deal. We're going to break everything down about this trade and more later on this episode. Before we get into it, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching this video. And if you're a part of the 93% that's not subscribed yet and you're enjoying this content, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season giving you updates from around the league. Now, leading up to this, we did get multiple tweets. The first one came from Pierre LeBrun, where he said, sounds like a 3-team trade involving Taylor Hall is on the works. Believe Carolina is involved. This got followed up by Elliot Friedman saying Mikko Rantanen is going from Colorado to Carolina. Now, seeing these tweets, my head was spinning at this point, thinking a superstar of this caliber heading to Carolina, and we finally get the full trade details coming in from Elliot Friedman. This was Carolina receiving Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. Colorado got Martin Necas and Jack Drury. Chicago got a 3rd-round pick and 50% retained of Rantanen's salary. Now, before we get into the bottom of this was a massive deal for the Carolina Hurricanes. This is the team that's inspiring to make a push and win a Stanley Cup. This is a team that wanted to add more scoring to the roster, and that's exactly what they got with Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen, 49 games this year for the Colorado Avalanche, put up 25 goals, 39 assists for 64 points. You can pause, you can read through. This is one of the most elite wingers in the entire National Hockey League. He's 6'4", he adds strength. He's a big body, 28 years old. This is the perfect pickup for Carolina, and I believe he will immediately come in and be the best player on this roster. Now, going into more of Rantanen's stats, it's not only the fact that he has 25 goals this year. This is a back-to-back 100-point player. The year previous to those 2 seasons, 92 points. If he played the full year, he would have broke 100. Rantanen is elite in every aspect. 64 points this year, 25 goals, 39 assists. The year prior, 42 goals, 62 assists, 104 points. The year before that, 55 goals, 50 assists for 105 points. You can see all the stats during the playoffs. In 19 games, he put up 14 points. In 15 games, 10 points. Going on to win a Stanley Cup, up 25 points. Mikko Rantanen is a game changer joining this Carolina Hurricanes team, and it gets even better. But before we get into that, just looking at the impact that Rantanen's going to add to this roster is something that a lot of fans are going to look past. This is, once again, probably the best right winger in the entire National Hockey League. He's going to come in, pot goals, be physical. He has an elite one-timer. This is talent that is so hard to come by. And we've seen the Carolina Hurricanes acquire this talent for a trade. Now, looking at Mikko Rantanen, the biggest question surrounding him is obviously his next contract. Rantanen is currently getting paid $9.25 million. This does drop as Chicago retains half of the salary, and it is closer to deadline, so they're not going to take on the full 50%. It's going to be less depending on what percentage of the season we're through. But looking at Rantanen, the next contract is going to be the biggest part of this. Now, we can look at the second player that Carolina picked up in this deal, and that is Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall in 46 games for a rebuilding Chicago Blackhawks team, 9 goals, 15 assists for 24 points. He is the minus 15, but as I said, this is a rebuilding Chicago team. The plus minus you don't need to focus on. 33 years old, he's only 6'1", but Taylor Hall can come in, add middle 6 scoring or bottom 6, depending on where they put him in this stacked lineup. Taylor Hall is a $6 million cap hit. He does join this team on the last year of his deal. So if he doesn't work out, and we will touch on Rantanen once again, but if Taylor Hall doesn't work out this season, you're not stuck with the contract for more than just a 1-year deal. This adds in so much talent to this already good Carolina Hurricanes, or I should already elite Carolina Hurricanes team. Looking at the lineup, the biggest thing is Yes, you lose out on Necas. You lose out on Drury. But the biggest thing is you replace Necas. And listen, I love Necas. I think he's an elite player. He leads this team in scoring. Well, he did lead this team in scoring with 55 points, 16 goals, 39 assists. But the biggest thing is you replace him with even better talent in Mikko Rantanen. Yes, you have to worry about this next contract. But adding in Rantanen to this already stacked forward group, you add in Taylor Hall that can fill out this middle six or even top line minutes if you wanted to stretch things out and run Rantanen with someone like Kotkaniemi or Jordan Staal, which I don't think they're going to do. Svechnikov, Aho, and Rantanen is going to be one of the most elite and probably the most elite line in hockey when you add in all the factors of how good this defensive pairings have been, how good the forwards have been, adding in Taylor Hall and adding in Rantanen. But looking at this, and you're going back to, yes, you moved on from Necas. Yes, you moved on from Jack Drury. I think Chicago had the worst outcome in this entire trade, retaining 50% of Rantanen and moving on from Taylor Hall for only 50%, but bringing in Rantanen, bringing in his contract, and we will touch on this now, where yes, the big reason why the Colorado Avalanche moved on from Mikko Rantanen was the fact he is on the last year of his deal, making 9.25. The biggest thing is, and a lot of reports have came out that Rantanen wants to be paid 12 million, 11 million, somewhere next to what someone like Nathan MacKinnon was getting paid. So you're going to have to look at this in the offseason. Colorado wanted to move on from this contract and not lose Rantanen for nothing. But the Carolina Hurricanes are opening up so much money. Orlov is coming off the books at the end of the season. That is $7 million they can immediately use to put into this next Rantanen contract. You have prospects joining this team as early as next season, especially on the back end. This is a team that can take the risk. This is the team that can go out and spend the money. We've seen the Carolina Hurricanes being in on-star players. JT Miller was a name that's been floated around quite a bit. Elias Pettersson was another name that has been slid into the conversation. But in my personal opinion, going out, picking up Mikko Rantanen is bigger than two of these players. You're not moving out any pieces that are going to hurt you in the future. Yes, losing Necas is hard. Moving on from Drury, who is playing great in the bottom six, does hurt a tiny bit. But you're adding another winger in Taylor Hall and a superstar, the best player in the forward group for this Colorado team, all in one trade. And I don't think they're going to be done yet. Looking at the roster, they can still add to this roster. Money is going to get very tight for this team, but moving in Necas, bringing in Rantanen at 50% retained, bringing in Taylor Hall, you're going to be really tight against the cap space. There's not going to be a lot of room, but this is a team that could even move on from someone like Dmitry Orlov or add more if they can get a low value contract to bring in with a veteran to play in this bottom six. The window has opened up so much more for the Carolina Hurricanes, and this just shocked the entire NHL. As I said, we're seeing probably the biggest trade we've seen in quite some time. This is bigger than any trade I can really remember. Yes, you had someone like Jack Eichel being moved, but he was never at the caliber of Mikko Rantanen, a former Stanley Cup champion, someone that dominated in the playoffs, putting up 25 points during that run of 20 games. This guy, and I can't stop saying enough, is going to shake up the entire NHL. He's already going to shake up the Carolina roster and make it so much harder in the East to compete versus a guy like this. But Carolina fans, what's your thoughts on this trade? What was your initial reaction? Going from tweets like Pierre LeBrun saying Taylor Hall might be going to Carolina, all the way to Elliot Friedman saying Mikko Rantanen is going to Carolina with the finer details. Are you upset moving on from someone like Martin Necas? Are you upset moving on from Jack Drury? Or do you think this was the proper trade for Eric Tulusky to make adding more talent for Rob Brendamore to continue to work with as they push to try to win a Stanley Cup, and in my opinion, becoming the favorites coming out of the East with elite goaltending since Freddie Anderson is back, elite defense, and now you add even more star power to this roster. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to do more videos on this, so keep your eye out for that. But what's you guys' initial reaction? And Colorado fans, if you're watching, Chicago fans, if you're watching, what was your reaction and what's your thoughts on the return from your team in this deal. But that'd be it for this episode. So make sure to go down, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode. So keep your eye out for that and take care.